In this tutorial, we're going to be looking at using the BCC Corner Pin effect to insert and track in a logo into a piece of video footage. Now, this is usually used for something like a screensert effect, but we're going to be using it to track a logo onto the back of this truck here. So we have our logo image placed on top of our video track here. So let's apply the BCC Corner Pin to the logo itself. And as we've seen before, this suddenly throws up something that looks a little bit odd. And that's because we've got a logo with an alpha channel. So we need to come in, open up the title mat and apply the clip to the title mat here. And we now need to adjust the background layer to be the first below. So far, so good. Now our corner pin effect is made up of these four corners here. And if we adjust them into generally the right sort of place, this is how our insert is going to look. But of course we're using motion footage, so we want to be able to track these four corners to make the clip move along with us. And we could use the BCC built-in motion tracker, the point tracker here. And what this will do is it will show us our four corners and the four corner trackers that we can do. Sometimes with quite a lot of footage actually, it's tricky enough to get one good point track out of it, let alone four that remain consistent throughout the entire clip, which is why instead of using the BCC point tracker, I'm going to use Imagineer Systems Mocha. Now Mocha is a planar tracker, so it has a whole lot more resilience built in to these sorts of movements. You know, one of its main functions is designed around doing exactly this sort of task. So I've got a track that I'm happy with here, and I'm going to go export out tracking data, and I'm going to use the BCC corner point format, and I'm going to save this out. And I'm going to save this out into my tracking folder. So I'm going to call this one Corner Pin. Nice and creative. And let's come back into Media Composer and let's import that Mocha data. So I'm going to come to the tracker data dropdown, click load, and then all I have to do is just navigate to our tracks, find the corner pin that we just saved out and hit open on that. And you can see that we have our motion paths going there quite nicely, and that will have tracked in our corner pin for us here. So let's turn the motion paths off for just a second. We can see that that's working nicely indeed. And we can also turn motion blur on as well, just to make it a little bit more realistic. And we don't have a lot of motion blur in this particular shot because the truck's moving fairly slowly. But if we had a fast moving screen replacement, then that would show up a little bit more in that case. And if you want to get deeper into the BCC corner pin, you can also come in, change the opacity. So we can change blend modes, for example. We can add light wraps just as we would do with keys, as we talk about in the advanced keying tutorial. And we can play that through. And that is how we very simply use the BCC corner pin effect with Mocha tracking data.